This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Monday, July 29th of 2024. We're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, we have a report from our own Andy Petersen as he talks with Theo Gunther, project manager of ADM's Regenerations program, and we just have a discussion to catch up about the latest in the program and what it's doing for farmers. But before we get into any of that, let's take a look at the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're here with Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, what do we see going on in the grain markets today to kick off another week?
Well, initially we saw some real pressure coming in on the grain markets, not the wheat, but more or less the soybean complex. I mean, soybeans at one point in time in August, were down over 40 cents. A lot of that had to do, seemed like, with the better weather. Soybeans coming into the point here in August when they'll be setting some pods and pollinating and things, and the weather improvement and some of the weather outlook really seemed to hit that pretty hard. Plus, we've got a lot of continued competition from South America that we're dealing with. So traders were just anxious to, just sell that market. New contract lows again, the soybeans across the board. Soybean meal is under some pressure, oil under pressure. Corn held up fairly well, was down not too far lower, but actually did come back into positive territory finishing out today. Now, export inspections were a little delayed today, but they did come out. We're not exactly sure why they were a little delayed, but that really didn't have any impact on the actual trading because that was seeing pressure already. Corn was at 48.68 million bushels compared to last week's 39.02 million bushels. It was 30% higher than a year ago for the same week. So doing well, and actually corn is running some decent exports recently, export sales, and some moving corn out through the inspections. So we're pretty pleased with what we're seeing there. Soybeans export inspections are at 14.82 million bushels compared to 12.93 last week. That's down 15% from a year ago. Wheat, 15.85 million bushels. Last week was 9.65 million. And that's export inspections are running 11% above a year ago. So we do see some, if you want to say something, some good things happening in the corn markets, although corn is at lower prices, but at least we're seeing some business being done there relative to the lack of business we're really seeing in the soybean complex. Corn's at 66% good to excellent. They're thinking, or that's the estimates. Last week they were 67%. Last year 55%. So they're in good condition, but looking at 1% decline. Soybeans 68% good to excellent. 68 last week. 52% last year. Winter wheat harvested at 84% versus 76% last week and 80% last year. So that's doing pretty well. The strategic grains reduced the rapeseed and sunflower production in the European Union for the third consecutive time. The current projection is for a harvest of 17.27 million metric ton. So they've been reducing that a little bit based on weather situation, but they left their soybean projection for the EU at 81.4 million bushels. So they didn't really change that at all, but they did reduce the oil seeds, rapeseed and sunflower production. Russian wheat forecast was raised to 84.7 million metric ton, up 500,000 metric ton from the previous estimate. You know, those earlier concerns over the frost they had, or multiple frosts, and the damage from that were overstated, and now we're not seeing quite as bad as what some of the early estimates were. You know, the Russian estimates were pretty close. They didn't think it was hit quite as bad, but other forecasters were saying it was down quite a bit. So it shows that they're conservative of as far as damage being done was probably the right way to go, because wheat is hard to kill, and you know, generally there's a knee-jerk reaction off of any events like that.
All right, Robin, and then on the other side of the marketplace, in the livestock complex, what do we see going on in cattle and hogs today?
Well, that livestock complex got hit today. You know, cattle were down, triple-digit losses, up over $2 in some contracts. It was a little bit of a surprise because we did see cash trade higher last week, $2 higher in the south, $2 higher for dressed cattle in the north. Box beef prices were struggling last week, but we did, with the increase in cash was anticipated, we might be able to at least see steady cash maybe this week. Maybe there's a little bit of turn in some of the demand, but box beef today at noon choice was down 2 cents, select up 261. So not really any pressure coming off of that. But I think more of it is the caution over the ongoing demand. I mean, we've seen a number of weeks now where we've seen weaker box beef prices, and that's seasonal to some degree. You know, the dog days of summer. We still have August to go through yet. And that's probably the overall pressure that we saw in the market today. Over in the hogs market, they were under pressure. We saw over $3 losses in some contracts or a nearby contract. Now the futures closed the chart gaps. August had a chart gap that was left below. So it closed that. However, it left a gap this morning. October closed their chart gap. So those are done on the downside right now. I think most of this that happened today was more knee-jerk reaction. There were 2 cases of African swine fever found in Germany. And it seems like that's what permeated through the market to really get some selling going, which shouldn't have really made that much difference, but that's how the trade works. That's how they look at it. Anything that could be negative to the market or positive, whichever way you're looking at it, they'll jump on. And that information seemed to be the overriding factor that really put pressure on the market. Now, because I said that, because the National Daily Direct morning report was up $2.03. And we've seen that just recently where packers come in more aggressive early in the week. For quite a while, we didn't see that. Now we've seen that early in the week, they want to buy hogs, want to regain or gain ownership of more of those hogs earlier rather than later. And that's because we've seen a turn in demand. Demand has been better. Cutouts at noon today were up $2.44. So those 2 things should have really provided some support under that market, but it just was overridden by the emotion involved. I think that, you know, from the announcement of those cases, which in the big picture shouldn't really have probably a whole lot of impact on the market, but we'll have to see how it all plays out.
All right, Robin, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Well, they can give me a call if they'd like. My number is 877-256-3253. They can call the Ag Market main switchboard, 844-424-6758. And they can, they'll be able to get a hold of somebody that will be glad to answer their questions, or go to the website, agmarket.net, and send an email, and somebody will get back to you.
All right, Robin, thanks for the great market analysis as always, and we look forward to chatting again soon.
All right, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
That again was Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers closed through the market window at iowaagnet.com.
At the close, September corn up 1 3/4 at 3.96 1/4. August soybeans down 22 3/4 at 10.54 3/4. August soybean meal up 2.20 at 3.55.50. Soybean oil down 82 cents at 42.84. Chicago wheat up 7.5 at 5.31 even. Kansas City hard red wheat up 8 even at 5.53 1/2. Minneapolis spring wheat up 3 even at 5.91 1/2. September oats up 1 even at 3.23 1/4. On the Merc, August live cattle down 160 at 186.97. August feeders down 327 at 256.42. August lean hogs down 202 at 91.45. August pork cutout down 95 cents at 103.92. And August class 3 milk up 8 cents at 20.44.
And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we have a conversation with Theo Gunther, the project manager of ADM's Regenerations program. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Recently, our own Andy Petersen had a chance to catch up with Theo Gunther. He is the project manager of ADM's Regenerations program. They had a conversation about the program itself, the benefits it's offering for farmers, and just the latest on the program and how farmers can get involved.
Certainly a lot of talk about nitrogen applications, given the wet weather. Foliar fungicide season is right around the corner. I haven't seen any planes yet, however. They are coming. There's no question, with tassels starting to shoot and soybeans getting to R3. One thing to remember, though, and that is cover crops and making your plans. Theo Gunther with ADM, they've got a nice Regenerations fall cover cropping program, as well as enrollment being open on the carbon intensity scoring as well. Theo, it's that time of year where, fall seems like maybe it's a long way off, but it really isn't. Cover cropping really isn't, and plans for the 25 growing season are well underway.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've kind of hit the midpoint of summer here, and we're on the trek towards fall. But it's coming up quick, and we've got our programs open for people to enroll and start making those plans. And looking forward to this fall for cover crops, and also looking towards your marketing decisions here as we get towards harvest.
So talk a little bit about the cover cropping program here first, because that's, I suppose, in the order of application would be the first thing to consider.
Sure. So we've got a couple different options for farmers that use cover crops this fall. Varying payments from $10 to $25 an acre, no limit on acres, and some flexibility there too. We understand that a lot of people are unsure as to the total number of acres they might end up planting this fall, depending on how harvest goes. But we're focused on getting people enrolled, getting people to understand what their options are, and we'll work out the details around what actually gets done this fall when it happens. But right now, in the next couple of months, we're really focused on getting people signed up, getting an indication of what they intend to do, and getting prepared for that this fall.
One of the things that I think we've seen statewide this year as far as cover crops is there's plenty of moisture, no matter how you apply them, if it's with an airplane before harvest. Plenty of moisture to get germination this year.
Yeah, I would not expect that we'd have a lot of limitations on the moisture department. If there's other limitations, they're not going to be water. At least
talk a little bit about, absolutely. Talk a little bit about carbon intensity scoring here, and year 3 of the program enrollment open there as well.
Yeah, so this would be for the crop that's in the ground right now, and what our program offers is an option for farmers to use the management information and what went into that crop, and along with the yield information, to calculate a carbon intensity score And then when they're going to market, if they sell it to ADM, then that crop has that score attached to it, and we'll add an additional 2 to 8 cent premium to each bushel that comes in, and that's determined by the score and hitting some benchmarks related to the average that we expect coming into the facilities in Cedar Rapids and Clinton, and also in Burlington, we also have some options for this as well. So, but the first step is getting that score and signing up. So if you sign up with our program, you'll receive that score at no charge. Once you enter your crop management information, you'll get that score, that average score for your enterprise, and then any bushels that are delivered to us on a producer account are going to be eligible to have that premium attached to it.
How do we learn more, Theo?
ADMregenerations.com will get you redirected to our program page, and it'll show detailed information about eligible locations, program incentive payments, and how to sign up, and also contact information if you have additional questions that we can answer for you.
Certainly a great way to add value to practices that are already taking place, and is what a lot have complained about as far as the early adopters oftentimes not being eligible for these programs. This one is exactly the opposite. ADMregenerations.com. Theo, thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Andy.
That again was Theo Gunther, the project manager of ADM's Regenerations program. And thanks again to Andy Petersen for getting us that coverage for today's show. That's all the time we have for the news today. Thanks again for tuning in. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and the Pods of Potential podcast, which recently released its 10th episode. You can find all of those podcasts on your favorite platform at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of the IRN broadcasting team, we thank you for joining. This has been Ag Matters PM.